So good morning, everybody. This is the World Freedom Alliance activist group, and we're going to hear from people from all around the world today. So we've got, first of all, we're going to hear from Mads Palsvig in Denmark.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. And also, I just want to mention that we are having a gathering in Budapest, the 17th to the 19th of August. And I have a bit of good news from Denmark. I think it's quite significant. Obviously, it's not going to reach the mainstream media, but we just won a court case here with a member of my party who arrived in the Copenhagen airport, and the government required the person to take a PCR test. The person refused. It went to court, and because the person didn't show up, was convicted to pay a fine of 500 euros or 6 days imprisonment. Then this person, a member of my party, came to me, and I wrote a letter to the court, where I basically, in 2 words, basically said that an announcement, an executive order, such as poking people's noses in the airport, is required due to a disease that is less dangerous than the flu. Any law, an announcement or executive order cannot put aside the Constitution. And the reply from the court was that the prosecution asked for acquittal, not the judge, not the defense. The prosecution folded. It threw the case, it gave up. And I think this is significant. And I hope many people will follow this example. And instead of complying with these atrocious, deeply fascistic and illegal regulations and announcements that are taking away your and everybody else's freedom, take the fine, go to court, you will win it. Thank you.
That's brilliant news. And actually one of our hashtags for later on in the year from We Are Human, We Are Free website actually says that, isn't it? It's don't pay the fines. Yeah, challenge these nasty laws. Excellent. So we're now going to hear from me. I'm in the United Kingdom. We had a protest in my city yesterday. One of the public houses, one of the pubs in Norwich where I live, had a big sign up on the wall about 2 weeks ago, and I did a little video where me and some friends went down there and said, "Good morning, landlord. Could we possibly have a pint in your pub? By the way, we haven't been vaccinated." And basically he got very angry with us and wouldn't let us in the pub. And the point I made to him at the time was, I'm a gay man. If you discriminate against me for being a gay man and don't let me in your pub, you're breaking the law. And he just ignored that and carried on. The video went viral all around the world, and then some friends of mine contacted me and said, "Look, come on, we need to do a bigger, this is a bigger issue. This is a global issue. We need to make this into a much bigger protest." So we invited people from all over the UK yesterday, and we had about 150 people in my tiny little city. We have very narrow streets in my city, so it was a very impressive demonstration. We demonstrated in front of the pub, which had closed because they knew we were coming. There were lots of police there. The police were very friendly towards us, helped us across the road, made sure that we were safe, and the police did a very good job on that occasion. But we also went to 2 other businesses who are not obeying the rules. So hairdressers where they're not wearing masks, they're not telling their clients that they have to wear masks. And we ended up in 2 places. We went to Chef Ron's Diner, which is a wonderful little takeaway cafe in Norwich, where an American guy and his family have this fantastic diner. They refuse to have QR codes on the window, so people don't have to zap in to go and see them. And they don't force people to wear masks or anything like that. And then while we were protesting, we were doing all our speeches on a big square in Norwich, and the pub to the left of us came over to us and said, "Guys, after your protest, come to the pub. You're very welcome to come to our place." And we all went there afterwards, and she was giving us free drinks, and it was just amazing. So there was a lot of positivity around yesterday, but the issue is interesting because there was positivity, but we got a lot of negativity from people passing by who were swearing at us, who were shouting at us. And there is a massive push for everybody to get vaccinated here, just like there is all around the world. And it's something that we just need to keep resisting. We really do. Robert, love to hear what's going on in Australia.
Thanks, Nigel. My name is Robert Burrows from Australia. Most of what's happening in Australia is administered at state level in terms of what's going on in relation to COVID restrictions. So quite a number of state governments are talking about mandatory vaccines in certain contexts, aged care workers, things like that. But obviously there's a lot of pushback on that, particularly in the sectors immediately impacted. In Victoria, for example, my home state, we had a lockdown introduced a week ago. Today, that was just extended for another week. There's been an enormous pushback against that. In response to the lockdown last week, there was a snap protest that first night. 5,000 people turned up, which was a significant jump in numbers on previous snap lockdown responses from protesters. There was quite a bit of undesirable behaviour from the police, shall I say. Also, not all the activists maintained the sort of discipline some of us might like. Having said that, the turnout was good and showed that there's definitely increasing resistance to what's going on. There's a number of ongoing challenges in legal circles. Lots of health professionals are involved at different levels, doing different things in different contexts. Currently, quite a bit of interest in the fact that the idea of vaccines for younger children being mooted in various contexts. That's mobilising a lot of parents who believe they have the right to decide whether their children have a medical treatment or not. And so that's causing, again, higher degrees of mobilisation among parents of kids at school. The main thing that's probably still an impediment to what's happening here is that there's still very low awareness about the deeper agenda behind the sort of the virus vaccine narrative. So that means that, for example, it's still slow to get people to realise that there's a lot more going on here than just the virus vaccine narrative. And that's connected obviously with, in the immediate sense, the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. Having said that, there's ongoing effort to raise awareness of that too, and that's slowly getting through as people realise there's an awful lot happening just because of some virus that isn't killing many people, which it's not. And these vaccines and the word on the vaccine injuries and deaths is also getting out now better too. So more people are certainly asking questions, and I think the higher numbers at the protests reflects that. In relation to the We Are Human, We Are Free campaign, one of particular interest to myself and others who are involved is that we've had two wonderful people overseas do remarkable flies. They're truly beautiful, and they'll be going out in the next couple of days. So they're a joy to look at. So plenty happening in Australia, both in terms of government attempts to enforce the COVID vaccine narrative and all the restrictions that are supposedly being implemented in response to that, at the same time increasing amounts of pushback right across the board.
That's good to hear, and hopefully right across the world as well, Robert. We're going to move to Spain now and hear from Gina. Welcome, Gina.
Hello, everyone. Here in Spain, situation seems to be a little bit better because people started to go again in the street to manifest. Of course, we never had these numbers of people in the street that UK had, or Berlin or France. No. But I see that 2 weeks ago when there was the Worldwide Rally in Madrid, we reached around 6,000, 7,000 people, and we didn't reach these people since January. And there were many other towns in Spain that were protesting, so it was very great to see again the spirit of people that discovered again their rebellion, okay? On Saturday, there will be another march in many cities in Spain to stop the vaccination on children and teenagers. which I don't really agree, because I think that the problem is much bigger than just vaccination on children and teenagers. We need to talk about COVID pass and to stop the pandemic. And that's it. I mean, it's not just about the mask, the COVID pass, the vaccination. No, it's all over. I mean, it's just since we need to fight the roots. But it's nice that they are planning protests. I will not be there, but I will have my friends there, and we will see. We will see if people will be moved by this noble cause to protect children. And till now we don't have COVID pass in Spain, but I suppose it will arrive as well.
Yeah, I think you and Robert have hit the nail on the head here, really, that it's the bigger picture that we're missing, because we're chasing after this issue, that issue, vaccination, COVID, is the virus real, is the virus not real? Chasing after all those things, and it's just a distraction that they're throwing at us while they're reorganizing the economy around the world. One thing I forgot to say is that Bank of England in the UK issued a document yesterday saying that basically when, not if, but when the economy goes the wrong way up, which it is, they're going to take all the money out of our bank accounts. They've given themselves the right to take all the money out of our bank accounts. Now, when people realize this, then they're going to start to see what's really going on here. And as Mads and Dolores and Heike have been saying right from the beginning, this is not about a virus. This is just a distraction that's keeping us all very busy, because we don't want to see our children damaged by these vaccines. It's an important issue, but it's not the issue. The issue is much bigger than that. Apologies for talking too much there. And we're going to go to Wayne now in Egina in Greece.
Yes, all right. I'll talk about not just Egina, but I'll talk about Greece generally, because of course there have been shocking fires that they've got into the headlines generally, not only in Greece, of course, but they've been very bad here. They've been even worse than fires in the past. The island of Evia has suffered tremendous destruction, and not only there, in the Peloponnese also and elsewhere. Now, there are demonstrations, of course. So many of the people who've been against the lockdowns and the compulsory mandatory vaccinations are now moving on to the fires. And I think it's going to be a big demonstration, I think, or a demonstration anyway, in Athens today on the subject of the fires. I'm not very happy about the slogan that's being used, and that is that, you know, we won't accept this level of destruction again. That could be an electoral slogan. If it were an electoral slogan, I think people would be sarcastic about it. You know, if the government or the opposition said something like that, we're not going to allow this again. Okay, people would just say, oh yeah, tell us another. But when the opposition says this, also, I think that it's subject to the same kind of reactions. Really. I mean, it's what is this? What is this big talk based on? But anyway, that's really secondary. I think one of the things that has come out as a result of these fires is the where it fits into the agenda. Unfortunately, it's not the general activists that are saying this, but it's people. For example, it's the politician Vovolis, Feron Vovolis, who is he's actually a medical doctor, but he's a would-be, an aspiring politician who has mobilizing large. He's exactly in the category of people that Mads wants to get into our movement. He has been saying things that are a bit more, not sophisticated, a bit more accurate. Having to do with warning people now after these fires to resist the pressure for reforestation with genetically modified plants, because of course this is what's being genetically modified plants are being made available now, and it's being encouraged that you know, citizens with social conscience and children go out and you know, help with reforestation with genetically modified, you know, they don't tell them that, of course, but these are made available. Now, Fedon Vovelis has done his best, I think, to point out this danger, and also other things is another thing to point out is that the areas. This is something that I have heard. I haven't heard Vovelis saying, but this is something that I've heard being said, that actually the areas that have been burnt are very largely areas where there's been local resistance to the implantation of wind turbines. If a local community says we don't want wind turbines here, you know, they find themselves burned out in the next summer. So these are very, very, you know, what can one say? They are the issues that are being lost, unfortunately, by the general run of activists who don't focus on these things. But it's good that at least somebody is doing so, because as far as the wind turbines are concerned, there's a very good business. They're filling all of the Greek mountains and islands up with these wind turbines that produce very little electricity. They're mostly not working all the time. Of course, they get huge subsidies for the companies that are implanting them are getting huge subsidies, and most of them are German also. So, you know, Germany's onto a good racket there, offloading all their old technology, their old technology onto Greeks and getting Greeks to pay for it. And you know, these are things that are under the radar certainly for the mass media. Well, I don't know. That's not good news, but it's the good news, I think, has to do with the fact that there is a politician with some kind of following that is making some kind of a relevant noise anyway. And unfortunately, I think among our movement, he hasn't got all that much support among our movement. He's got support among ordinary people, as they're called, more support among ordinary people. Anyway, that's the news, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Always good to hear what's happening in Greece. Yes. We're going to move to Yasmin in the Lebanon next. Look forward to hearing what's going on there. I know you're doing some amazing things, Yasmin.
Good morning from Beirut. Well, I'm going to start with the bad news because I want to end with the good news. So the bad news is about less than 2 weeks ago, our government issued recommendations to sort of try to enforce vaccinations upon everybody. So basically, they hit the public sector first, and also the private businesses and the private sector. So by recommending that everybody gets vaccinated or shows the PCR test results, or I think the IgG test, in order to be to attend public venues like restaurants and pubs and pharmacies and supermarkets. And also they were encouraging, sort of forcefully encouraging private businesses to also have their employees get vaccinated. So that was, I think, on a Thursday. So the same night, we had a meeting with our group of lawyers. And here's the good news. They finally decided to move swiftly. And that same night, we started sending out messages, and we created a Google form to help people sign up and start a lawsuit. So this is the first of its kind since last year, since the beginning of this madness. And so far, we have around 1,000 people who signed up, which is a very good number for a tiny little country. Unfortunately, the day after or 2 days after, the government then struck back again with an order this time, not just a recommendation. So along the same lines. So we're trying to move and trying to stay not one step ahead, but at least not one step behind, what they're doing. And it's been really tough to keep up, because also just a few days ago, they also issued a news that they are going to start recommending vaccination for kids starting the 12 years old. So we're really trying to move fast, but it's really difficult, with our group of lawyers everybody was already busy doing a gazillion things. And now they have to focus on this lawsuit and another action. It might be another lawsuit just targeting the universities and the schools, because they are basically forcing students to get vaccinated before the new semester begins. So they gave them about 12 days only. Some universities, which are private, gave them exactly 12 days. to either get vaccinated or they will not be enrolled and they will not be able to continue their education. But again, the good news is that a lot of people are standing up finally, and even some of them who have already chosen to get vaccinated out of pressure, but they do want to sign up with us because they are against these kinds of measures. They still believe in freedom, you know, they believe that these things should not be forced, and they see the pattern where it's moving, and they understand that if they accept the first and the second jab, they might have to continue accepting booster shots. So they are standing up, which is great. And we're trying to do everything we can to counter this, you know. So we are hopeful and our numbers keep growing.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much, Yasmin. And we're now going to go to Serena Milan in Italy. Now, unfortunately, Serena can't have her video on today due to connection issues, but
yeah.
Serena,
hi to all. Yeah, hi to all. Thanks, Nigel. Just a quick updates from Italy. In Italy, as you're probably aware, from the 6th of August, the so-called Green Pass was introduced. So now most of public spaces are like not accessible for not vaccinated people. Anyways, in a parallel, they have also started to exercise huge coercion pressure to vaccinate children from 12 onwards. And already this is massively implemented. We already had the first victim. We read yesterday in newspaper that 13 years old girl has died in one of the cities. But of course, there is a lot of censorship, so it's very, very difficult to get the news about the victims of post-vaccine period, although there is in Italy, there is a huge kind of, there are many groups that are organizing in that sense. We have quite a few websites that are gathering information about vaccination victims. So we have everything very well documented. And now there is also a regional parliamentary member that is asking for investigation about the victims in Lazio region. So things are moving in order to disseminate this information about huge censorship in regards to the post-vaccination victims. At the same time, for the third consecutive weekend, we had huge demonstrations all around Italy that started 3 weeks ago, and they are continuing. 3 weeks ago, there were massive manifestations ahead of introduction of EU COVID passport. In 80 cities, we had really huge numbers of people participating. Then over the next few last weekends, there were slightly less people, but it is continuing, and there are also the massive protests are organized also for the next weekend. We've seen particularly great participation in cities like Milan and Rome and Torino, but also it is going on around whole Italy. And of course, everything is highly censored by mainstream media. There is a push for massive vaccination. And as you know already, we have mandatory vaccinations for all medical staff and now even for the teachers. But at the same time, we have huge number of lawyers that are moving with illegal kind of suits, and just recently one was won by two lawyers for the autonomous region Trentino Alto Adige, because they already had COVID pass ahead of this mandatory introduction on the 6th of August for whole Italy, and they have won the case. It was proclaimed that it is illegal, which is similar to what happened in Spain, because as you probably heard, also in Spain for Andalusia and Canary Islands, they have proclaimed EU passports illegal. So this is from my side. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Serena. One thing I wanted to ask, we've seen images of people in Italy burning their COVID documentation because they don't want to be part of the scheme. Is that true? Are you aware of that?
I've seen videos, but I'm not sure about that because anyways, probably it happened somewhere, but it is not a massive kind of situation because mainstream media is really, really building up animosity between not vaccinated and vaccinated. So at the moment, like let's say Italian resistance is thinking about communication strategy to overcome this building, like mainstream, of course, is building this in every country. This is done on purpose and planned. But in Italy, we are trying to create a communication campaign to diminish that. And anyways, there is a growing number of vaccinated people that are joining resistance because they are kind of gaining awareness of reality behind all these measures. So the numbers in resistance are really growing in Italy these days, which is very positive.
Very encouraging to hear.
I would like to add something about Italy because I'm Italian, okay? And I have one of my friends, she's a lawyer and she joined organization 1,000 Lawyer for the Constitution. And she told me that according to this law, the people without COVID pass are allowed to enter bars or closed spaces to, I don't know, for example, to go to the toilet or to have food or drinks, but they are not allowed to be seated. Okay, so I can enter the bar, I can drink standing up, but I'm not allowed to sit at a table. So it's unbelievable. Yeah, I hope that the people will wake up. For example, my sister woke up, thanks God, because she saw the hate against no vaccinated people. So this hate suddenly wake her up, you know. So I hope that the more people will join us, as Serena said, and I'm really happy to hear that.
Excellent. That was a great way to finish. And just to remind everybody, this is the end of our recording today, but the big issue is an economic issue, and we get around this economic issue by doing certain things globally that we can do. And the one for the month of August is using cash. Now, we've called it #Cash Friday. We want you to use cash every single day. And if you look at our posters that we've produced, it will take you through to Robert's website in Australia. We are human, we are free. You can go straight there and look for the justification of why using cash is so important. Thanks for the recording, everybody, today, and look forward to our next one in 2 weeks' time.